Part of how the league works. If you lose and don't go to the big game, they always try to figure out what went wrong, what happened. So I think after Russell made a couple of those comments, I think it was an opportunity for a lot of people to run with it. I definitely feel like it was a little overblown, but it's all water under the bridge now. That's what he said. Let me ask my reporter today, Jeremy Fowler, my insider extraordinaire. Was it overblown, and is it water under the bridge?
Well, Greeny, major issues did exist. Wagner is right that it is water under the bridge right now, but they had to work to get through, working through some consternation. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson had multiple talks over the phone to try to sort some things out. Russell Wilson wanted to see the team step up, had some ideas of how to try to get back to the Super Bowl. They are in a better spot, though.
So, Dominique, I know you have a theory on the piece of this that might be overblown, the piece of it that isn't water under the bridge. How do you see it?
I don't think it's water under the bridge. And this is, again, it's a theory that's not based on reporting. It's just based on me watching what's happened with Russell Wilson's career. Is I felt like Russell was the guy. He was the next guy that was going to take over after Tom Brady retired and Aaron Rodgers got too old. And I think Russell viewed it as that way. He was going to be the face of the league. But look, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are still balling, and we all have already decided that the guy who's next in line is Patrick Mahomes. So I think that the feelings that Russ is having now is less about the team around him, less about them having team success. It's more about him kind of retaking this throne that he thought he was in line to get. And we always talk about how he's never gotten an MVP. Like, I think what will make him happy is to regain that personal cachet as the #1 quarterback in the league. And even on Jeremy's list, what is he? Fourth?
Yeah.
Like,
Russell how does he get that, though? Does he get, is the fact that he's in Seattle the factor here? Is it the offense that they run? What is it that he needs to get to be what you're telling me he wants to be?
I think that all matters. The offense that they've started to open it up last year. Let's let Russ cook. We all heard it and we all were saying it last year. They started to open it up. But prior to that, they weren't doing that. They weren't letting Russ cook. That's part of it. And being in Seattle, I think, is part of it too. Where if he does that in New York City, let's say, him and Sierra in New York, and he's taking the Giants to the playoffs, he doesn't even have to win the Super Bowl. The way that we react to that is different, whether we want to admit it or not. So I think that has to play a little bit into why Russell may be feeling uncomfortable in Seattle.
Well, let's find out from a guy who played in New York and knows what it's like. D. Wood, what do you think of this? Do you feel like this is water under the bridge at this point with Russell in Seattle?
No, it's not. No, it's not. And I do agree with Dominique. If you look at the list that Russell Wilson had as far as trade partners that I believe his agent had put out there, the Chicago, New Orleans, those are big time spots right there where, QBs tend to get a lot of, a lot of spotlight. So it's a little different than being up in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. And also, just from the football perspective, look at that division. The NFC West is the toughest division in football. Okay, the Los Angeles Rams, a lot of people talk about them being Super Bowl contenders. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be right back there as Super Bowl contenders. Arizona got better. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they got a new play caller, guy who's going to be a first-time play caller, got questions along the offensive line still. I don't even know if the Seattle Seahawks are going to make the playoffs. So I think there's going to be a lot of questions again when we get past the season, whether Russell Wilson and Seattle Seahawks are in a true marriage together.
I agree with that. I think that, look, there are always surprises. We never know what things are going to look like, but it doesn't feel like they got closer. It feels like the way things shook out this offseason, they may have gotten further away. Much more on that as we go. Meanwhile, did you see what happened yesterday in the game between the Yankees and the Astros? So Jose Altuve and the Astros looking to avoid a sweep. And we're going to pick this up on the top of the eighth with the Yankees leading by a score of 4-2. They had 2 on and 1 out, and that's Gary Sanchez crushing a 3-run shot to blow it open. And for the second time this weekend, mocking Jose Altuve. Remember Altuve, the jersey, back in the ALCS a few years ago. Don't rip it off me, don't rip it off me. So now the Yankees mocking that, but hold on. He who laughs last, laughs best. Bottom of 9. Yankees are up 7-2, but not for long. That's Chad Green trying to close it out, and not well. Chaz McCormick smacks one off the wall in left center. That brings home 2. It's 7-4. Now it's 7-5, and it is Jose Altuve with 2 on. There. What can you tell us?
I mean, this is a guy a week and a half ago, thought that he was done for the year. And he revealed last night that his knee was double in size the night of the injury. And here he is putting up historic numbers in the NBA Finals. We all probably look like the PJ Tucker meme watching him last night, but he said he was just happy to be out there competing with his teammates. And that live in the moment mentality is something he's tried to live by all season. I sat down with him before the year, right after he signed that Supermax deal, and I asked him why he decided to sign the deal this year and not test out free agency and essentially get the same offer next season. He said, I didn't want the pressure, not for himself, but for his teammates to be constantly asked, is he staying, is he going? And he said, I didn't want to give up a year in my prime with those types of distractions. And that type of mentality, if you apply it to his play on the court, playing dominant inside is when he's most free. It's when you see him settling for jump shots or threes. He's pressing, trying to be someone he's not. And there's this notion that has come up during these playoffs that when Giannis realizes that he's more Shaq than Kobe, that his true superpowers will be unleashed. And, last night he became just a second player in NBA history to have 40-point, 10-rebound games in back-to-back NBA Finals, joining Shaq.
And LeBron as the other one. But that's such an interesting thought. Let me bring Legler in on that here, Cassidy, because I think that is such an interesting way of looking at it. We've talked so much about what Giannis needs to do to be his most effective, Legs, and I haven't heard it put any better than that. He needs to realize he's more Shaq than he is Kobe.
It's a phenomenal point, and I think with Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the things I've said about him is, and this is a rare thing I'll ever say about an athlete, he may want it so badly that he may never get it. And what I mean by that is he wants so desperately to be a guy that checks off every single box offensively, like most of the other superstars in this league that lead teams deep into the playoffs or lead teams to championships. He wants to be able to end games the same way. Unfortunately, that's not playing to his strengths. So when he does that, it actually benefits the teams he's playing. And I know that Giannis wants desperately to take this organization someplace they haven't been in almost 50 years. It means so much to him. It's such an admirable thing for a guy to feel that responsibility, to work that hard to try to make it happen. But he has to always stay within himself and understand when he does that, there is no answer for this guy physically. You're going to have to do things to completely compromise what you normally do defensively, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for other people on this team. But when he buys into that bait, when he takes that 17-footer, when he takes that three off one pass up the floor, you are completely bailing out a defense that is so relieved you just took that shot because there's no answer for what he's able to do in the restricted area of the floor. And he really played to his strengths last night, and now the Bucks are back in the series.
Again, and we were talking earlier this morning, if you weren't with us, Tim Legler, when the Suns got in foul trouble last night, they had to go to the small lineup, and Giannis was able to dominate. That feels like if they could find a way to do that, if they can find a way to get that sort of dominant interior presence the rest of the series, is that their best way to win?
I mean, Ayton, this is the first time all postseason that he's had 5 fouls. I mean, he's averaged 2.5 fouls, and he's been the key to this Suns team. I mean, obviously the backcourt are their two best players, but Ayton, his presence inside, getting him in foul trouble and taking him out of the game. The Suns lost this game because you can't have Ayton out of the game and Devin Booker not shooting well. And so that's the key. And if I'm the Bucks, they have some time here. This is unique because they have two days off because of the All-Star game. I'm focusing on that. How do we continue to get Ayton in foul trouble? And the loss of Dario Saric is glaring right now.
Not till Wednesday.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Cassidy just said. It has to be a mindset now for Milwaukee because look at what they put out there when DeAndre Ayton picked up that 4th foul in the 3rd quarter. And by the way, he has to be smarter than that. You can't go over and try to contest a shot on Giannis Antetokounmpo coming in. It's 2 points. You let Giannis have that. If you've got 3 fouls and you're DeAndre Ayton playing as well as he was in that game, you've got to let Giannis Antetokounmpo go right there. I know that's not much contact on that, but it doesn't matter. Be smarter than that. Monty Williams alluded to it after the game. DeAndre Ayton has to stay on the floor because you look at what they were left with, And now the Milwaukee Bucks are saying if we can get that guy off the floor, there's not much left there at all. Frank Kaminsky's just not a guy that's going to have a physical presence in this series. Torrey Craig is a guy, he's a wing. So you got 2 guards and 3 wings out there trying to play a zone defense. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be intent on trying to destroy that lineup if they put it out there again. DeAndre Ayton is the key to the series for the Phoenix Suns, because the one thing the Bucks haven't shown, can they guard Phoenix at full strength for 48 minutes? They certainly didn't do it in the 2 games in Phoenix. We don't know the answer to that because DeAndre Ayton was taken off the floor last night.
Well, we'll see if they can do it on Wednesday. Cassidy, Legs, both of you stay close. Much more on this as we go. And again, Game 4 not until Wednesday night, 9 Eastern. You'll see it on ABC and ESPN Deportes. The Suns and the Bucks. Coverage will tip with NBA Countdown at 8:30. All of it streaming live on the ESPN app, one tap. Meanwhile, back to the NFL, where the Seahawks and Russell Wilson had their fair share of drama this offseason. Wilson's longtime teammate Bobby Wagner had this to say to